right. He's number 10 on our Season 3 leaderboard here. He did play in our Players' Championship last year, and he's looking to get back this year. Unfortunately for Jeff, this is actually pretty close to where he's from, so not a long drive for him for once.
Yeah, he was saying this is the closest it's ever been for him.
A Tranquil Cove is where he starts things. He's at 21. For Dave Dixon, he'll scry with his Temple of Malady to the bottom as we're underway here in round number 4. A flooded strand here for Hoogland before passing the turn back over to Dixon. That's Cade's Coilless. We'll go back over to Jeff. A Plains and a passing of the turn. So just a little draw go action to start things off.
And the base of Jeff's deck is still going to be very good against Abzan in general. Dig Through Time on top of Dissolve is a pretty good starting point. Also, 2 main deck copies of Valorous Dance, very solid for the matchup.
A Windswept Teeth, the sacrifice here by Dixon. He goes down to 19. We'll have a forest or a plains on the way, and it'll be a basic forest. And whatever threat that is being cast, it looks like it was a morph. It was going to be a Den Protector. That got dissolved very quickly by Jeff. He sacrificed it. His flooded strand to get a basic island. And he'll be scrying here in just a moment. No interest in letting anything resolve. So Jeff will scry. That top card will go to the bottom. And Hoogland will take a draw step. Here's an island. Pass that turn back. Over to Dixon. Dixon with the Siege Rhino. That's his draw for the turn.
And Thopter Spy Network seems pretty incredible to me in a matchup where your opponent doesn't have Dromoka's Command or some way to get it off the table, especially a slow matchup. Jeff with 3 copies of Darksteel Citadel to facilitate that card a little bit.
Thoughtseize the draw here for Dixon. Yeah, you do have to go through some hoops to make Thopter Spy Network actually work, but once it's going, it appears to be pretty good.
The easiest way to do it in the format's got to be Darksteel Citadel.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the cheap.
What's tough about that is, control decks always, over Magic's history, they do want to play some colorless lands to be able to facilitate some things. You go all the way back to a card like Stalking Stones, which turn into a creature and was a way for them to win. Citadel, for the most part, is textless, obviously, but it does help turn on that card. And we'll see if that combination is worth it as here's a Thoughtseize. Jeff will show his hand, multiple copies of Dissolve in hand. There's an Elspeth, a Hangerback Walker, a Clash of Wills, and it looks like a Thopter Spy Network in hand. So we'll see what card Dave wants to select. As he writes down the contents of Jeff's hand. Jeff is certainly up to something. It's just unclear as to what, especially if you're Dave Dixon. He's going to take a look at Thopter Spy Network, and we will happily do the same.
This is a man who could definitely use a Darksteel Citadel.
Yes, and that's why he is playing 3. Dissolve will be the selection. You see at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, Darksteel Citadel, you get a 1/1. And whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Now here's a Hangerback Walker.
Now Jeff drew Disdainful Stroke this turn, which is actually really sweet.
Yep.
Because the shields appear to be down on the Dissolve, and so that gives Dave an incentive to tap out for something large, and that sequence shows up there with the Siege Rhino.
Yeah, that's going to get countered. Jeff will untap. He'll take a draw step here. And Hostility's the draw. There is Thopter Spy Network. Hangerback Walker going to come into the red zone. Jeff will get to draw a card. He'll pass the turn back. Didn't find a land, however. See, this is a new one. Some people feel like it might slot in a Affinity, potentially. Unsure if that's the case. It's unclear where this card's really going to slot in.
I would not have guessed blue-white control.
No, me either. Me either. Yet here it is. But Jeff with a Thopter token on top of his deck getting ready to put another one into play because of the Spy Network.
They better kill this now, though, because this gets out of control very quickly.
Yeah. Here's Elspeth. That's going to bring 3 soldiers along with it. Jeff will untap. He'll get a Thopter from the Spy Network. Now he'll draw a card for the turn. Can the Spy Network keep pace with Elspeth? That's going to be pretty tough to do. Temple of Epiphany here for Jeff. Top card going to stay on top. Jeff put the shields down, even though he does have that counter magic in hand, and Elspeth is the result of that.
And it looks like his deck just has to play through this. He does have one main deck copy of Hoogland,
Okay.
but he's not getting Elspeth off the table.
It seems like a tough one for him to beat. Hanging Back Walker is going to block, and then it'll grow a little bit. That is one of the abilities in the card. You can tap a mana and tap it to give it a +1/+1 counter. Elspeth will bring some more along with it. There's a Fleece Mane Lion. Jeff will untap. Another Thopter here from the Spy Network.
With the Thopters, though, Jeff can prevent Dave from going ultimate with Elspeth. He's still got to be able to beat 3 tokens a turn.
Yeah, that's the big problem, right?
Not an easy thing to do.
Looks like Jeff might have to just ignore, and just draw some cards. Aha! A Darksteel Citadel. Fleece Mane Lion threatening to go monstrous here. There also is the fun combination of event hostilities with Hangerback Walker, too. Some tokens left behind.
Ooh.
Yeah? I don't love Jeff's position right now, but it's not the worst spot to be in.
He's got some finagling to do.
Yes.
But I agree, he is not doomed.
Here's an Elspeth. So this is a way for Jeff to try to keep pace with things now. Looks like Fleece Mane Lion's going to go monstrous here. We're actually going to have an Abzan Charm first. Make it a little bit bigger. Now Dixon will untap.
Now with Jeff having Elspeth, it's possible that he can kind of shift gears and go to a different plan here, which is win the Elspeth race. He's able to pressure Dave's Elspeth because he has flying creatures a little bit more easily than Dave can do in reverse. Because Dave, whenever Dave makes an attack, Jeff gets to put his tokens in front of Dave's tokens and also put Hangerback Walker in front of something.
Yeah.
So he's +1 on all the exchanges. And he has Thopters to harass Elspeth in the air.
Here come the beatdowns. There's some blocking to be done here. We'll find out if those creatures are going towards Elspeth or towards Jeff.
This right now feels like a battle over Elspeth.
Yeah. And Jeff going to do a lot of blocking. Looks like they're just going towards Jeff. Here's a Rhino. So that'll resolve. Obviously, Jeff's shields are down. He's going down to 13. Dixon's going to go up to 14. 3 more soldiers on the way. Elspeth up to 7. So you mentioned this isn't, because of that hostilities, this isn't the worst spot for Jeff at this point. He'll get a token from the Spy Network, draws a Plains for the turn. Going to knock Elspeth down a little bit. Got to contain that. There's a land.
I think from Jeff's side of the table, he would really like to be able to leave up Dissolve mana before he makes some sort of large play. And so the question becomes, is this good enough of a spot to let the shields down?
And Hostilities is going to resolve. Hangback Walker dies, so it leaves some Thopters behind. There are 3 tokens from Elspeth. And Jeff was able to leave a little bit of mana open for Clash of Wills and the potential of Disdainful Stroke here.
3 Clash of Wills, although not too hard for Dave to work around in this spot if he cares about it. And only 1 main deck copy of Disdainful Stroke.
Sure. Because Jeff did have the option that turn to activate his Hangback Walker in his main phase to get another Thopter token if he wanted to. There's Languish to clean everything away. So this is a true battle over Elspeth. You can see that.
But Jeff is slightly in front right now.
Right now, yep.
And having some flying creatures is also going to be helpful.
But now all of a sudden he's behind again because now here's Huge Rhino, 3 tokens. That's the turn back. So what Jeff was leaving mana open for is a powerful card in Dig Through Time. So he'll delve away 6 cards, take a look at the top 7, and he'll take 2 with him.
And there's his 1 main deck Hoogland, which I would be hard pressed to give up given the way this game's going.
Yeah, 8th land plus Ugin.
It could even be Ugin plus a spell if you think you don't want to cast Ugin the next turn.
Sure.
But there's no way I'm passing up Ugin here. Jeff's got all the resources in the world to work with it. He just has to be worried about the game getting stolen by some stray permanent sneaking through.
There's 8th land. Thopters are colorless, yes?
Yes, they are.
A combo with
Combo with Ugin.
with Mr. Spirit Dragon.
Mm-hmm. A lot of ins, a lot of outs.
There are 3 soldier tokens. We'll see if Jeff actually has some interest in casting Ugin this turn or not. Here's Valorous Stance. It's going to take care of Siege Rhino. So not going to be playing Ugin this turn.
Well, the only thing that Jeff has to answer on Dave's side of the table right now is Elspeth. He has Elspeth contained in a variety of ways. And Jeff also has a couple expensive permanents of his own copy of Elspeth on top of the Thopter Spy network. So I think Ugin is a sort of a last resort kind of measure, not something that he wants to do, but it's a very good option to have in case Dave has some random threatening permanent somewhere down the line.
Soldiers are going to run as soldiers. You saw Dissolve take care of the Courser of Crewfix. Elspeth takes up to 7. Both players have an Elspeth on 7. Jeff will get a Thopter from the Spy network.
But Jeff has a decided advantage right now. He can always keep Dave's Elspeth from going ultimate if he so chooses.
He can go ultimate with his too. And now he can play another one. And now he's got a real Elspeth advantage. 3 soldiers will be joining. And that Thopter is a 3/3 flyer, so it'll knock Elspeth down to 4. Now Jeff has a bunch of 3/3 flyers on the battlefield. Elspeth will tick up.
Jeff did a great job of navigating his way through this game.
I agree.
It's very rare that you see Elspeth's in play, opponent can't kill it, but just has the resources to mitigate it.
Yep.
Not an easy thing to do.
Another Thopter token there from Jeff, thanks to the Spy network. Opponent at 15. Jeff has the ability to even ignore Elspeth if he wants to. Looks like he's going to go all the way after it. Dave could have something in this instance, so saying all my attackers at you and maybe hoping for the best, not the best idea. So Jeff hedging his bets a little bit here. Make 3 more soldiers. Pass the turn back. Dixon will draw. He's not going to get the job done this game. He'll concede. Jeff Hoogland's going to win game number 1 here over Dave Dixon. Blue-white control up a game over Abzan control, which will probably be a little bit of a lengthy affair. But a well-navigated game there by Jeff Hoogland.
Again, it wasn't... He did ultimately kill the Elspeth, but he just was able to battle through it for several turns. Part of that was his own Elspeth, but Thopter Spy Network gave him a lot of cards and a lot of ways to harass Elspeth while he was doing other things, and a very well-navigated game there for Jeff.
Well, we will take a look here at the sideboards. We will start with Dave Dixon and his Abzan control deck. You'll find 3 Duress, 3 Arishan Clerics, 2 Self-Inflicted Wound, a Surge of Righteousness, 2 Dromoka's Commands, 2 Drown in Sorrows, Read the Bones, and a Damnable Pact.
So I like the 2 copies of Read the Bones in this matchup quite a bit. I think the 2 copies of Dromoka's Command are reasonable. Not ideal for control matchups, but I think Thopter Spy Network is so threatening for Dave's deck that it's worth bringing in some amount of enchantment removal. And the 3 copies of Duress as well.
What do we see on Jeff's side with his innovative deck?
Another Disdainful Stroke, 2 copies of Displacement Wave, a Fated Retribution, a Hidden Dragon Slayer, 3 copies of Last Breath, 2 copies of Negate, a Perilous Vault, a Raise the Alarm, 2 copies of Stratus Dancer, and a Valorous Dance. I think that you can see some of the more removal come in, the Valorous Dance especially, and I think Hidden Dragon Slayer may come in as well. I like bringing in the additional counter spells. I think 1 copy of Fated Retribution is fine for this matchup as well.
Got a Raise the Alarm hanging out, huh?
1 copy of Raise the Alarm. Probably for decks like Soldiers and Goblins, if I had to take a guess.
Sure, sure. Well, these players are shuffling up for game number 2. We'll be underway there in just a moment. We will very quickly talk about the Star City Games Creature Collection, the spring version, of course, where we've taken some of our favorites from SCG Game Night, put them on a few things.
Yeah, you see the April, May, and June kits here. The kitten, the bee, and the bunny, along with Delver's Squeakrits, all available on card sleeves, play mats, and dice bags. You can order your items today at starcitygames.com/creature collection, or come over to our dealer booth at any of our opens or any Grand Prix that we're vending.
The whole kit and caboodle. The most popular of the bunch, that's for sure, believe you me. StarCityGames.com/creature collection for more information about that. As we get ready here for game number 2, you just saw Thopter Spy Network in action. That's a card that got a little bit of press, but it was definitely overshadowed by a lot of the other things that are going on. But one thing you notice during Magic Origins, if you take a look through that set, there's a little bit of an underlying artifact theme going on.
Yeah, Blue's got some artifact matter stuff. It manifests in draft, certainly, and a little bit of that going on in Constructed as well. And for as long as Darksteel Citadel is legal, I think these cards have the potential to show up in Constructed.
I think it's a pretty interesting thing that's going on with that. You know, Shrapnel Blast was in the last set, didn't see much play, obviously. A couple other artifact matters cards, and you just, you know, it almost felt like, are we going back to an artifact set after this, or you know, what's really going on?
Soul Artifact, another card in that space.
Yep. But not a lot doing, but there's been some new additions here, and so maybe we'll see if maybe an artifact-based deck or a deck like Jeff's, which does have a little bit of an artifact theme going on, can be good.
Yeah, he's not full bore on the artifact matter stuff, but he has his Darksteel Citadels. He's got, you know, Artificer's Epiphany, plays very nicely with Darksteel Citadel.
Yep.
Thopter Spy Network, of course. Hangerback Walker is the one commitment he's really making, but alongside End Hostilities, that card's not even that unreasonable.
Yeah, a bit of a combo, actually.
Bit of a combo.
Everyone talks about Languish Siege Rhino. How about Hangerback Walker and Hostilities? Just saying, open your mind up a little bit.
Try some things out. There's a lot of cards out there. You can play with all of them.
You could even play with Honored Hierarch.
You can.
If you want to.
Yeah.
That's an option.
That's just a right that you have as a human being.
Can't take it away.
Yeah, just go ahead and play with that card. It's powerful. Who knows or cares?
Both players are going to take a look at opening hands here. You've already started signing Honored Hierarchs as well. Congratulations to you.
Yep. I neither know if that card is good nor care. And I feel that way about basically every card.
Most cards. Though you have a real strong sense and a strong bond with Fire Drinker Crusader for reasons that are just unexplainable.
You have to have a creature on turn 1 for these decks to be functional. And that card's a powerful thing to do if you're flooding out a little bit, trades up. You know, even things as innocuous as, you know, you're on the draw, you play Zergo on turn 1, and your opponent has a Caryatid on turn 2, and then you can't attack effectively the next turn. Even that determines the outcome of games. You play a land, you can attack, they can't block because you can pump, and then you play a 2-drop. Those 2 points of damage, often the difference between winning and losing. I leave no points on the table.
I know that. After watching you play Magic Online yesterday, I realized that.
I leave no points on the table.
It's unacceptable if you do. We burned some people out real good last night.
Is there a way for me to navigate this game in such a way that I get my opponent to crack their fetch land? I leave no points on the table.
A Stand-Up Citadel is where Dave Dixon begins. Jeff Hoogland starts with a Temple of Enlightenment. Top card goes to the bottom. We're underway here in game number 2 of round 4. A Windswept Heath and a passing of the turn. Abzan appears to still be a very popular deck in the metagame. Temple of Enlightenment number 2 here for Jeff. hard to argue against the deck. It is pretty gosh darn good. Here's a Plains. Dixon will sacrifice that Windswept Heath.
Though the old standbys have not been impressive on camera thus far. Obzon got the goggles. Sultai Whip got Rally the Ancestor.
Yep.
And Dave here down a game against the Spy Network and friends. Got an Elspeth stick, wasn't good enough. It's a lot of new cards.
Let's see what's next here. Corsair of Crewfix. That's an oldie but a goodie. Windswept Heath on top. There's a Radiant Fountain. Jeff will gain 2 life. He's up to 22. He'll pass the turn back. Siege Rhino on top of the deck here for Dixon. His draw was a Windswept Heath.
Gotta say, 1 Radiant Fountain in your deck before you have the 4th copy of Darksteel Citadel, not feeling it.
Doesn't like it?
I want the 4th Darksteel Citadel in there before I mess around with other colorless
I want
lands.
that Spy Network to always be on.
Yeah. Darksteel Citadel plus Spy Network against a deck like Obzon that's a real thing.
There's a Valorous stance. It appears. Looks like while the shields are down, Obzon Charm's going to draw some cards. Siege Rhino's 1, Thoughtseize is 2. Top card, Obzon Charm. See you later, Corsair. Jeff will untap and take a draw here. We'll start by playing a Mystic Monastery. Pass the turn back with Dissolve at the ready.
In the market just for more dual lands.
Yep. That's Temple Epiphany number 5, maybe.
Well, it's Tranquil Cove number 5,
Sure,
depending on how you want to.
Also fine. How about it's Mystic Monastery number 1?
Yep, there's 2 of them. 4 Tranquil Cove, 4 Temple of Enlightenment, a Radiant Fountain, which I've already complained about, the Polluted Delta, 2 Plains, 2 Monastery, 6 Island, 4 Flooded Strand, and 3 Darksteel Citadel, which I have also already complained about.
Tough man to please. There's Atlanta War Waste, not Yavimaya Coast. This is a Thoughtseize. Dig Through Time. 3 of them, along with a Dissolve, an Artificer's Epiphany, and a Plains. Dick's gonna write all these cards down. We'll see what he wants to take. The Epiphany is the new one. You draw 2 cards. If you control an artifact, you discard a card.
So you can sit back on Dissolve, your opponent casts nothing, you can Divination.
Yeah. Sort of.
If you had a Darksteel Citadel in play.
Yeah.
Instead of a Radiant
Fountain.
Fountain.
Your point's coming full circle.
I'm
here.
sorry, Jeff. I can't let it go.
You're coming full circle.
I'm enjoying your deck. It's pretty cool. I just can't let the Radiant Fountain go. It says more about me than it does about you.
It's true. Here's the Siege Rhino. It certainly does. Here is the Epiphany. Jeff will draw 2 and have to discard 1.
Although by discarding an extraneous card, he is closer to Dig Through Time.
There you go. There you go. I was hoping you'd
And he's
realize
got
it.
the 2 life from the Radiant Fountain. That's a thing, too.
That's time to cast the Dig Through Time.
That's complicated stuff, you know?
Magic is no easy game. There's a Temple. Time to scry here for Hoogland. Number 10 on our Season 3 leaderboard. Top card, going to the bottom.
So 4 mana up and 4 cards in the graveyard.
What's that mean?
Dig Through Time.
Oh. Thanks, Artificer's Epiphany.
Thanks, Radiant Fountain.
True.
A lot of pieces of the puzzle.
Here's a Morph. See if this resolves. Likely to be a Den Protector. It is going to get in there. Here's Dig Through Time. There goes the graveyard. Time to take a look at the top 7. And Jeff will get to take 2 of them. Dissolve among the options here.
And for Jeff's deck in this spot, Den Protector getting back Thoughtseize is pretty bad news. Because Jeff is floundering a little bit right now, and part of the problem is that he's behind on the board right now, but without a source of card advantage in play, he's not necessarily favored if the game's going longer and longer.
Well, it looks like he's found 2 cards that he's happy enough with. Time to draw. Tranquil Cove will enter the battlefield. There'll be a trigger. Hoogland will go up to 14. And now, a Perilous Vault.
Pretty slow way to do it.
It's better than nothing, I suppose.
He's looking at 7 this turn, assuming that's a Den Protector. And then has to spend all of next turn getting rid of it. And then has to find a way to beat Dave's follow-up.
Yep. There's the Unmorph. What are we going to rebuy if we're Dave Dixon? Thoughtseize or Obzon Charm? Could be a land if he's looking to get to something big. Looks like he's going to go with Obzon Charm. Dixon will draw.
I guess the logic with Obzon Charm is Dave probably has to sit on his heels this turn anyway, because Jeff is probably just untapping, saying go, and then activating Perilous Vault. So drawing 2 cards a little bit more powerful for Dave in this spot than casting a Thoughtseize.
And there is the Charm. Gonna make Den Protector bigger. We're getting aggressive. That's an attack for 9. Jeff gonna go down to 5. Maybe a little surprising use of that card.
I am, just because if you were getting Jeff to 3, where Siege Rhino suddenly killed him, that would be one thing. But that just looks like 2 kind of randomish points of damage.
There's a Temple. Take a look at the top card.
Well, the thing is, Jeff was at 14 and Dave had 7 points of power in play. So he was still forcing the activation of Perilous Vault this turn, even with what he had in play.
That wasn't going to change. Let's see what the follow-up is here. Maybe another Morph. Yep. Maybe the thought process here is I get you to 5, I unmorph Den Protector, I get back Obzon Charm, try to kill you again that way.
That's asking a lot against Jeff with a lot of mana and 5-6 cards in hand.
It is ambitious.
I was fine with getting back Obzon Charm if the point was to just draw 2 cards with it. I would have certainly preferred to get back a Thoughtseize if that was the commitment of Obzon Charm.
We know Hoogland has multiple copies to dig through time in hand. He's just got to get to the point where he can cast all of that stuff. If he's able to, the game is likely his. But there's no guarantee he'll ever be able to get to that point, so he'll start with the Thopter Spy Network. Den Protector is going to be unmegamorphed. It'll get a counter. Going to return a Thoughtseize this time. Dixon will untap and take a draw here. Here is Thoughtseize. Jeff will show his hand. And Elspeth. Looks like a Clash of Wills, a Dig Through Time, and a Dissolve.
So this is a hand right now from Jeff where worst case scenario, Dave can say, I'll take your Dig Through Time and simply attack you to death with Den Protector while you have useless cards in your hand.
Yeah, your hand doesn't do much.
That's the worst case scenario for Dave in this spot.
Yep. Gonna go with Dissolve. Here comes Den Protector, puts you to 2. Pass the turn back. Jeff will untap, he'll draw. Not a lot of cards in his graveyard right now. No Thopter from the Spy Network, given that he has no artifact at this point. He'll sacrifice the Flood Strain, go down to 1. There's an island. That's another card in the graveyard, too, for Dig Through Time. I'm looking for an answer to this Den Protector. There's Dig. He'll take a look at the top 7. Has he found an answer? The answer is no. He will concede the game. So Dave Dixon's going to win game number 2 here over Jeff Hoogland. Abzan control, blue-white control, get ready for game number 3. Played a lot of 3-game sets so far today.
Yep. I think Dave's got, being able to clean up some of the creature removal in his deck and bring in 3 copies of Duress, very helpful for him in the matchup. But he is still very vulnerable to Thopter Spy Network. Not a lot of answers to that card unless he was willing to bring in Dromoka's Command, which is very narrow outside of getting rid of Thopter Spy Network.
You see Jeff going back to the drawing board right away. He's not happy with his configuration. We'll see if Dave does the same here. But in the meantime, we will talk about the Season 3 schedule here on the Open Series. We kick things off in Charlotte. Michael Malone was your champion there with Elves and Modern. So again, congratulations to him. And then, of course, our Open Series in Indianapolis was won by Eric the Thrill Rill. Baltimore, finally done by the Boz. Never going to forget that tournament. Now we're here in Chicago.
And after Chicago, we're going to head over to Richmond for a Standard Open Series event. We're off the following weekend. Make sure to head over to StarCityGames.com/regionals to find your regional championship. Then a Legacy Open in Washington, D.C., a Grand Prix in London. We head back to Charlotte for a Modern Open Series event. And then the Season 3 Invitational in New Jersey. Standard and Legacy as the invitational formats with a 2-day, $20,000 Standard Open Series event, August 28th through the 30th.
Going back to your home state.
Yes, very close to where I grew up, about 15 minutes down the road. The area where I won my first PTQ, where I played in my first Type 1 tournament, now called Vintage.
Oof, Type 1, haven't heard that in a long time.
I believe a Bant, Urnam Dejin, plus other cards of roughly Urnam Dejin's quality deck. Serendip Ifrit.
That's a long title for a deck. I think it's just called Bant Midrange now.
Yeah, Bant Midrange.
There you go. Good old Urnam Dejin.
Birds of Paradise plus Armageddon.
Combo.
Urnam Dejin plus Armageddon.
Combo.
Serendip Ifrit plus Birds of Paradise.
Combo.
It's in the it's not quite a combo. Those are just 2 cards.
I think it's certainly a combo.
Oh, I didn't know those. Those were too expensive. I had the Chronicles one. I couldn't afford those. Are you kidding me? Out of my price range.
Here is a tempo for Jeff as we start things off. Tough times for early Patrick.
Yeah. It's 14 or 15 years old. I don't know. Urnams for like $20. $25.
Don't just have $20 lying around.
Especially with inflation. I mean, it's not even, it's like $35 basically. Which I definitely didn't have.
Yeah.
Urnams were 20 and Tundras were 5. It's a different time.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
It's a different time.
Clash of Will is going to take care of that Fleeceman line. There's a Flood Strand. Pass the turn back. Jeff going to turtle up here, try to counter some spells before getting his deck online. You see Darksteel Citadel is one of the lands, so Thopter Spy Network could be online as well. This is a morph. Let's see if it gets dissolved. Nope, just another Clash of Wills. Clash of Wills is such an interesting card to me because it's not going to impress anybody.
Yeah, it just works.
Yeah.
And it seems very good against a deck like Abzan, where they're going land go, land 3-drop in a lot of games. So even if you're on the draw, Clash of Wills is a very effective counterspell.
Island. Perhaps Hangerback Walker? Yes. What I've noticed too with Jeff so far, and of course we're only watching a small set of games here, is he's not trying to make a big Hangerback Walker. It typically, at least it feels like in his deck, it's probably just a 2-mana spell. Then it grows a little bit, or you want to play that and then have some counter magic at the ready.
And Abzan Charm's another reason for him to keep it kind of on the lower side.
Yep. It will be kind of an annoying blocker against aggressive decks. Here's Duress.
But these discard spells against Jeff post-board, they seem so good because his deck's got there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of fidgety action, and he's going to have hands that are really vulnerable to a discard spell.
Yeah.
He's got some part of the artifact package, but not all of it, or he's got his one big play and a bunch of kind of low power cards besides.
Flooded Strand searched up a Plains. Now there's a Dissolve to take care of the duress. The Scry is done resolving. And now here is a Nissa. That'll search up a basic forest. Haven't got to see a ton of this card yet this weekend.
Ken Ketter's got a couple copies.
Yep, I see
in
most
his list.
people have a few copies in their deck. And again, not terribly explosive, but just a good role player. Feels, I mean, the comparison is Borderland Ranger for obvious reasons, and it does really feel that kind of way, but just with a lot more upside.
Right. It's not Borderland Ranger on turn 7.
That's true.
You know, that's a big difference.
There's a Temple. Top card. Gonna stay on top. Jeff will pass the turn back. Dixon will draw. Drew a copy of Dragonlord Dramoka. And there is a forest. Now here is Dragonlord Dramoka. Can't be countered, of course. Jeff will take a look. Card that's starting to increase in play a little bit.
Although not necessarily that good for this matchup because Jeff just has copies of End Hostilities. Especially paired with Hangerback Walker, could have a very clean answer here.
Darcel Citadel is the land. Jeff, not very many cards in hand. And his deck is not a deck that's going to, you know, for the most part, have a lot of cards in hand. As here's End Hostilities.
It's Thopter Spy Network. That's his way of generating a lot of card advantage.
Yeah. You're not going to find a card like Jace's Ingenuity, nothing like that. So you saw the board get cleared away, and Hostilities took care of that Dragonlord Dramoka. And friends, Hangerback Walker bit the dust, but some Thopters are left behind. And now we're going to start the Elspeth game again. We saw this in game number 1. 3 soldiers on the way here for Dixon. Jeff going to play a dig through time. That's been a lot of Jeff's play pattern here is at Hostilities, leave up 2 mana for either counter magic or dig through time. Not a bad play pattern at all.
Yeah, that's how you would like to do it, although his deck is a little bit more main phase focused than a lot of blue-white decks typically are. Especially because of the Thopter Spy Network.
Yeah. This is a turn where I think he'd be pretty happy to find Thopter Spy Network.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he starts drawing a lot of cards.
Yeah. Take a draw step. Picked up a copy of Dissolve.
He's got the Spy Network. He really starts going somewhere here. We saw this spot in game 1 where it looked like he was a little bit behind in Elspeth, but that wasn't the end of the world because he had this going, was able to draw a lot of cards and find sideways answers to handle Elspeth.
You can see the real cost of playing colorless lands and building your deck this way now, though. You see how he played Thopter Spy Network. He has the Dissolve in hand.
Yeah.
And the inability to cast it right now. And you have to imagine he needs that Dissolve for protection from what's coming from Dixon.
And Dixon just drew a copy of Den Protector, which would be really nice to dissolve in this spot.
Yep. They're the attackers. Elspeth's going to tick up. See what's next. It is a morph. It is that Den Protector that you did mention. A Temple, top card. It's going to stay on top very quickly for Dixon. Jeff will get a Thopter from the Spy Network. He's got plenty of artifacts on the battlefield to trigger that. Now, how does he want to use the ones that he has on the battlefield? That's the question. Looks like he's just going to attack with just 1. to copy a Tranquil code. Code will trigger. Hoogland will gain a life. He's up to 17. Pass that turn back. Dissolve at the ready now. But is it too little too late? His Den Protector's going to unmegamorph, and Dragonlord Dromoka's going to come back.
Another card to look out for in this matchup, Jeff's one sideboard copy of Fated Retribution. Feels like the game is being played in such a way where if it shows up, it'll be really good for Jeff.
Does feel that way. There's Dragonlord Dromoka. And Fated Retribution is a card that is not on anyone's radar. You kidding me?
Saw some of it in Standard last year, but not a ton.
Yeah, not a lot. Here's dig through time. Maybe that's what he's looking for. Gonna find out as he takes a look at that top 7. You have to imagine.
I mean, look at it in this spot.
Yeah.
It would be so good right now.
Well, he's found 2 cards he's happy with. Dragonlord Dromoka, of course, resolves because, well, can't be countered. Oh boy, Duress Post is... That's a beating. And Jeff had to cast Dig Through Time then because once Dragonlord Dromoka's on the battlefield, you can't play spells. And now Jeff, there.
Yep,
all he can do is toss his hand on the table. You can sense the frustration because he did find Fated Retribution.
He set up very nicely. Next turn was going to be great for him, but now, assuming Dave takes the Fated Retribution, Jeff is way behind.
Jeff found his trump, and Dave, assuming he takes it with Duress, yeah. Huge. Huge, huge discard spell. Here come the creatures. Bunch of damage going to come across here. Den Protector can't be blocked, and I don't think it's a winning strategy for Jeff to block with those Thopter tokens right now. Jeff will draw a card.
Jeff's deck's actually got this strange vulnerability to Den Protector as well, because a lot of the ways that he handles creatures is by blocking with 1 power creatures. He has Elspeth, he has his various ways of generating Thopters. It came up last game too.
Yeah. It's a tough card for him to handle.
His removal spells are Last Breath and Valorous Stance, which are, you know, the Den Protector doesn't get tagged by either of those.
Here come the beatdowns. Peel 2. You notice the text there, whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
It's not coastal piracy. It's not triggering off of everything.
It's not Bind of Thassa, none of that
it's
stuff.
not yes or no. It's yes or no, not scaling.
Yep. A little bit different. I know a lot of people have compared this to Bind of Thassa, but it's different because Bind, when you hit them, you know, with the Master Waves and all the elementals, you are gassing back up.
But it also can do something by itself.
Yes.
Assuming you have a Darksteel Citadel or some other artifact creature.
Yep, that is the difference.
It's a game design term I like a lot. When people refer to cards as being strictly better or strictly worse, we go with strictly different, because they're just different cards.
I like that a lot, actually.
They have the same mana cost and sort of have some of the same functionality, but they are strictly different.
Another Dig Through Time. And Hostilities is not going to save him. Dave Dixon's going to win this match here over Jeff Hoogland. 2-1. Abzan control will take care of blue-white control. A timely Dragonlord Dromoka forced some action there from Hoogland. He found his Fated Retribution, but it was taken by a timely Duress, and that is why Dave Dixon is now 4-0 here in Chicago.
There's a lot that I like about